So I am on my way home after doing a little bit of babysitting. The sit ended early, thankfully, because when I applied for the sit on the app that I use, I forgot that Predator's surgery was today. So thankfully, the dad came home early, and I'm on my way home now. But I'm on my way home to sort out Predator for her surgery and everything. And so yeah, I'm gonna do a little quick vlog because I think it's helpful to people to show how I do surgeries and whatnot. And yeah, I'll take you along. This is Faithful Rattos, and I'm Ashley, and let's get into the video. Hi everyone. So Adele and her nurse Nikki have just been up to, oh my god, look at Beatty. Anyway, Adele and her nurse Nikki have just been up to do consent forms and stuff and take down Predator, or Granny as we call her. I'm really nervous because obviously she is an old girl and I don't really want anything to happen to her. But also, if we don't and we leave it even on the antibiotics, she's going to get really sick, and she is also uncomfortable with it as well. So I do want it to get sorted. So Adele and I have had a discussion, and she said that if she starts to be funny under the anaesthetic before a certain point in the procedure, then she can stop, and we'll stop. But if not, you know, she's an old girl, things might happen. So I'm really trying to figure out something to keep myself busy while we wait. I will give you an update on what happens no matter what happens. If we have a successful procedure, then I'll show you all the stuff about surgery recovery and stuff like that, and I'll keep this video going for a couple of days while we discuss surgery recovery. If not, obviously the story ends today. But yeah, that's what's happening. I don't really have anything else to say because I'm just really nervous, especially after our last surgery didn't go so well, and we lost Kiryu. I'm feeling particularly nervous because he was a buck in the prime of his life, and she's a little old girl. So yeah, we're nervous. We're gonna try and keep ourselves busy and see you in a bit. So Granny is in there, and Predator is in there getting spayed. We've got a little burdock here, don't we? So we've decided to make some lunch while we wait, and Burdock is keeping me company. Not very well. Where are you going? Where are you going? But behind me we have Tushy's Longevity Award. So the top one is Tushy's Longevity Award and the bottom one is Remy. So Remy got platinum because he was 40 months old, but Tushy just got bronze. Now he was 1 week away from getting silver. 1 single week. And he decided to pass away 1 week before getting silver, but he's got his bronze. So that's on the wall now. That came yesterday, I think it was. But yeah, Burdock is trying to do an explore. Aren't you, Mr. Man? Aren't you, Mr. Man? He's grown up so much. Him and BT are so grown up now. It's unreal. And like he's a big boy now. So hopefully he can be a dad soon, if all things go well. Yeah? Will you make nice babies? Yeah, so anyway, this is me rambling as I am nervously awaiting what's happening. No news is good news. Like, the longer you don't hear something, that's good, because if they were going to hear something, that's kind of... If we were to hear from them, that's because something's gone wrong. So we shouldn't hear from them until she rings the doorbell to come back up. But yeah, this is probably the most nervous I've been about a surgery because of all the factors included. Because of her being old, because of that she's like actively unwell. She's like the first surgery I've done on an actively unwell animal. So most of the things I've done is neuters. But then obviously I did the lump removal on Sinner. And he wasn't unwell, but obviously that turned out to be cancerous. That turned out to grow back. So, yeah. Burdock is running away. I'm blabbing, so I'm going to go. And hopefully the next time I see you, I will have Predator with me, and we'll be getting a hospital cage ready for her. Hi, guys. So unfortunately, she didn't make it through the surgery. Which wasn't a huge shock, but obviously is really sad. I want to tell you a little bit about what Adele said about what happened. Obviously, Adele was absolutely wonderful with the whole thing. I don't think she could have handled it any better. She brought her up nicely wrapped up, and she also did some fur clippings, and she made sure to include a little bit what was left of her own fur in there. So that's really nice. And then also she did some paw prints in here, which are really, really good. Better than the paw prints I get sometimes. And I've got her here, and she's a really, really old girl, and she was really, really sick, and she wasn't really showing us how sick she was. So I'll just recap for anybody who hasn't watched my last video about my old rats and their health issues and that video. So basically, last week Adele came over for health checks, and a couple of days before Adele came over, I had noticed that Predator's belly was distended, and the two thoughts that came into my head was immediately a pyometra, which is an infection of the uterus, and the other thing that came into my head was like abdominal tumours or something like that. And so when Adele saw her belly wasn't distended anymore, and I was like, well, that's weird. I told Adele what I'd seen. She gave her a good feel, and she didn't really feel anything unusual. But then as she was doing like the rest of her examination, part of the health check, she noticed that she did have like a really nasty smell coming from her vaginal opening, which obviously, given the fact that she was distended, isn't really a good sign. So she took her down and she did an ultrasound and confirmed that she did have pyometra. And we knew that at that point we had to spay her, basically. There wasn't really any option. Antibiotics generally don't do very much in the case of pyometra. They don't cure. They can keep stable to a certain extent, but they can't cure. So we didn't really have an option other than spay that I thought was like a good option to take. We could have left her on the antibiotics, but she was going to continue to get sicker and sicker and sicker. Or we could have had her put to sleep at the time. And because Predator was generally pretty healthy otherwise, she was quite active and energetic and stuff, we thought we would go ahead and we would try with the spay. And so that's what we did today. And it turns out she was probably a lot sicker than she was letting on to us. So what Adele said is that she had given the pre-meds, the sort of sleepy, relaxy sort of medication, and they were inducing her with the anaesthetic. As Adele was getting ready to clip, to make sure the surgical area was clean and stuff, before the surgery even started, the nurse was shouting for adrenaline and they were trying to revive her. So she just wouldn't have coped under the anaesthetic, and I don't even think she would have coped if we'd spayed her last week either. It was clear that she was unwell, and had been unwell for a long time, and much more unwell than she was showing us. She was also a really old lady. She was 32 months old, which is an incredible age for a rat. She's going to have her Silver Longevity Award, which is really exciting, especially given that she was a rescue and I know nothing about her background. But yeah, it's still a really, really sad day. And I had hoped that this surgery was going to cure the problem for her and that we were going to have her for many more months, but that just wasn't to be the case. Not going to lie, I was a bit worried about keeping her in a hospital cage because she was such an acrobat, and she would dangle from the top of the cage, she would dangle down off cage items and stuff like that. And I was really worried about keeping her entertained in a small hospital cage, but I would have done that. I would have done that in a heartbeat if I could have kept her here. But as Adele said, that even if they were able to revive her after everything that happened, she probably would have got very sick very quickly in the next couple of days, just because of how sick she was, that the infection probably was, she was basically probably in sepsis, which is really hard to come back from, even for people. It's really, really serious. And for a little old rat, it's not really something their body can cope with. So yeah, unfortunately, we did lose Granny, or Predator, but she had over a year with us as a fantastic member of our group. We have absolutely adored having her, and yeah, that's all I really have to say for this video. I had hoped it could have been a little bit informative and showed you surgery, recovery and stuff like that, but unfortunately I don't have anything of that to show you. But yeah, Thanks so much for watching, and hopefully my next video isn't going to be so sad like this one.